Certainly, most of our members worked or had children and were trying to juggle that. We have all of our meetings in the evening and board meetings as well. And we had a newsletter that was transitioned before I left League, before I went sustaining, into an email concept, and then there's still, they still have the traditional newsletter that goes out, which was what we had at the time. We set up the first website. That was quite exciting. We were so terrible at it that I just can't even believe that it ended up, I'm sure they trashed it the year I left. At the time, we thought we were at the height of technology, Melanie and I, and but that was really exciting. That sort of made us a big deal. We had our own website, and we were able to go really anywhere we wanted to go. We didn't have the same constraints. I don't think that a lot of the other folks.
And people didn't miss not having to use phone trees.
Honestly,
that was very painful. God bless email.
Email certainly made my life a little bit easier. Yeah. And even things like committee meetings and so on and so forth, they could handle that on their own, and minutes could be emailed back. And I mean, it seems not that long ago where we were doing hard copy minutes when I first joined versus as I was leaving.
And then I think what's interesting too, we've talked a lot about the kind of the social angle, but we also had many, many wonderful projects that the League did take part in. And I know one that we had when I was president was a state environmental conference, and it was really a major thing. The Junior League was focusing on environmentalism even back then. I was president in 1972. And I went to a conference in Chicago, and President Nixon spoke to the conference, which was really amazing. And then we set up this conference statewide, and we had many, many different groups, organizations that joined with us. We had it at the old Roosevelt Hotel, and it was really a major thing during my time.
Well, what we did so much of was to set up a project that was supposed to go on forever. And so we would run it for 3 years and then try to make sure there was funding there for it to go on. One of those was Leadership for 5 Seasons, and that does go on now through the Chamber of Commerce. That was a good one. Another was a large one, the Science Station, and it's still going. There have been some rough spots, but it's coming along. And when Brucemore opened, we also started the Festival of Arts every Father's Day. And Brucemore has pretty much continued that in a little different form, but it's nice that they have an arts fair that goes on.
I was thinking about some of the projects I was most proud of really did address critical needs of women and children. So we set up a nursery at Metro High School so that high school girls that had children could continue with their education and graduate from high school, and they could learn parenting skills through trained volunteers being in there. We had a project called SEED, S-E-I-D. It stood for Self-Employment Investment Demonstration, and League members helped unemployed women start their own businesses, which was really fairly interesting. Yeah. There were some really cool businesses that were started that way. And the Madge Phillips Center, of course. And how remarkable that is to take care of women and children when they need help the most.
Those would be one of our best.
Yep, it really does.
Well, and Madge Phillips kicked off, and we had a long-term commitment with them for the first, I think, 4 years. We did a lot of volunteering. We had a financial commitment after the center opened. And after that project, we ended up really sticking with the idea of children and mentored at Taylor Elementary School. And Taylor, that, much like Ron was saying, that project continues today through Access Iowa, or what's the new name of Access Iowa? Impact CR, thank you. Impact CR took over that mentoring project because those were 5th grade kids at Taylor that really were on the cusp. They were very at risk, and so that was exciting. And then we took it down and did really another historic facility. We redid Old McDonald's Farm at Beaver Park through the EIEIO project. And that was a huge undertaking because A, we had to get a contract signed with the city to get that done, which was interesting because they kept thinking we wanted something out of it. And it was like, no, this is what we do. This is what Junior League does. Don't you know what the Junior League is? And so that was a great experience because we really were able to make an enormous impact back at Beaver Park. And they really reinstituted done-in-a-day projects where you would go in and you would do something for a single day. You would accomplish something. We would help a group of people.
What's a good example of a done-in-a-day?
I remember one specifically was for the Cornerstone Project at 4 Oaks, and those are our at-risk families. And there was a closet that you brought towels or sheets or just household items that would make a difference in a family's life, and they could come, and we were at the 4 Oaks facility, and there were like little departments set up, and these families all had like a ticket to come, and then they could take whatever they needed. But it was just one day, and you know, we ended up really getting rid of everything we had, and everybody just brought in stuff for a couple of months prior, and we had in essence a closet.
Do we do that anymore?
They do done-in-a-day
Yes.
projects. I don't know that
Yes,
that one.
they
That
do.
was it. That was just one that I remembered because things that you don't think about reminded me of, you know, sort of the Madge Phillips thing when they just need a toothbrush and toothpaste and, you know, just some pretty basic things that everybody has laying around. And those were good, and they were, you know, big or small. They ended up being, you know, a great way to do it. And of course we had to raise the money to do those things.
And that's where all of our different fundraisers came in. When I was active, we had a horse show that was tremendously exciting and did very, very well in Cedar Rapids. I worked it a couple of times. The last time I did, however, the horse that I was to tend to was electrocuted in its stall. So they never asked
The
me
end of
again.
the horse show.
I don't know how that happened. But anyway, and we did have a dog show, and we had follies, which were really fun, and where we really bonded with the other gals because we were singing and dancing, some not so good. But anyway, lots of money was raised in those fundraisers.
Well, our major fundraisers, it seemed, were giant ones that we worked on for a long, long time, and it was a one-shot deal. For example, there was a tennis exhibition
That was
with
great.
4 professional players who came, and it was in conjunction with the opening of the Five Seasons Center, which is now the U.S. Cellular Center. And they had Billie Jean King, Hannah Monikova, Vida Skarolaitis, and Rod Laver, and they were big-time players at the time.
Huge. It was
And
really-
another one was the Cherry House. It was a decorator show house with all kinds of decorators, and it took forever, but it was a wonderful fundraiser, but it was a one-shot deal also.
That house, I don't know if you know this story, but the Cherries who lived there were holdouts when Lindell was built. And so there was this one house that they held.
Now I know what house you mean, because I went through it. Okay.
And they refused to sell, and Lindell built all around them. And so here was this house sitting out there, and that's how we got it.
And
And-
once they moved out, and
Yeah.
then it was demolished after
Yeah.
the decorator show house.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
That was its last hurrah. We did have one yearly one, which was the Christmas House Walk, and it was always the first Sunday in December, and 4 houses would decorate their homes, and people would buy tickets to go through them. So that was our ongoing one.
Our ongoing monster was the Christmas Connection, which probably, you know, came obviously
Yes.
after the Christmas House Walk. And we had this big shopping mart, and vendors would come from all around the country, and we'd set up booths, and then the Junior League would take a portion of the sales. But it was a big and very labor intensive, and did pretty well. The day came when we decided it would be politically correct to not call it the Christmas Connection. So then we started calling it the Shoppers Showcase. And it really was. But it was a big job, made a lot of money, and like a lot of things, you do it a number of years, and it sort of loses its potential to keep making money.